Hi everyone, we're going to evaluate this integral and it's going to be by parts and substitution. So the first thing we're going to do is let's do our substitution. So we're going to let x equal negative t squared and go ahead and take the derivative of x with respect to t. You get negative 2t dt. Therefore dt equals dx divided by negative 2t. All right, and then thus your substitution is going to be the integral of t cubed, and then we're going to have this e to the negative t squared, and dt is going to be dx divided by negative 2t. Well, what's that going to happen there is this is going to end up being negative, I'm just going to leave the 2 there for now, t squared, because these will cancel, e to the negative t squared, and then you still have your negative 2t dt. And where's my 1/2? So let's put the 1/2 here. All right. And if you simplify this further, I can pull out the 1/2 and write this as x e to the x dx. Because we know that this is negative x squared. So 2 negatives is going to make a positive. And you still have your dx left from there. So since this is negative, we had a negative here, that's going to turn that to positive. So now we can use parts, and we'll use our parts formula here, and choose u to equal x, and dv to equal e to the x dx. So therefore du is just going to be 1 times dx, which is dx, and v, the antiderivative of e to the x, is e to the x. So now we can write our new formulas here. So we're going to write this as 1/2 integral x e to the x dx equals, it's going to be 1/2, we still have this 1/2, u dot v, so we're doing this part, that's going to be x e to the x minus the integral of e to the x dx. So that's going to give you 1/2, I'm distributing x e to the x minus, and the antiderivative of that is just e to the x. So go ahead and distribute that 1/2 and then put your plus c. Now, if you want, let's factor out a negative 1/2. That's going to give you 1 minus x. You can put the e to the x here. I factored that out too. Or you could just write it negative 1/2 e to the x, 1 minus x plus c. So if we leave it like this and substitute back in, you're going to get this equals negative 1/2. We got to substitute it back in. I'm going to look at this problem right here. Negative 1/2, 1 plus, remember x was equal to negative t squared. So it's going to change to positive t squared. And then we have e, and then we have another x. So that's going to be e to the negative t squared plus c. I'll just write it one more time. So it's going to equal, our integral, it's going to equal negative 1/2 1 plus t squared e to the negative t squared. So I substituted my x back in. I looked at that. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.